And sometimes that's exactly what's going on. We get into this space where we cannot control our emotions. Me, I'm suffering from depression. I'm suffering from anxiety. I've suffered from manic depression. I've suffered from these things, right? I've suffered from it. If you simply believe, you don't have to be this way. The thing that must come before faith is belief.
Finding necessarily or this is what I find important for me.
So all of us have some kind of story of who we are. As much as it starts with you, remember it starts with me.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. So, have you ever been stuck, unable to get beyond the position in your life that you're at, filled with anxiety or pressure, and you feel like you just can't make it to the other side? Well, maybe that is because you are low or lacking faith. We're going to talk about this today. I want to introduce a scripture. It was a particular moment in time where Jesus was speaking to the multitude, and a man brought up his son. And when he brought up his son, and let me read it to you. All right, so it's in Matthew chapter 17. And it says, verse 14, and when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and sore vexed. For oft times he falleth into the fire and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Jesus apart and said, Why could not we cast him out? And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. So we want to think about that, right? Because many times we use that scripture and we're just like, if you have the faith the size of a grain of a mustard seed, all things become possible. And so what exactly does that mean? Well, number one, when Jesus answered his disciples, he was like, it's because of your unbelief that you were unable to cure this individual. So think about that. When I think about that, it opens up newness. It opens up a visual perspective. So now, if I have the faith, a very small faith, the grain of a mustard seed is considered to be one of the very smallest seeds that there is, and it grows into a very large, tree. But it wasn't the faith. The faith, if you have the faith, you can tell a mountain to be moved, right? You can remove. Re is the prefix, which means to do again, and move means to take from one place to another place. So you can move something again, whether it's in your way or out of your way, but you can move something out of your way, right? So faith gives you that power to move something out of your way, right? Again, so sometimes things are in your way and you have the power to move it out of your way. which means that maybe what it was that was in your way has returned, right? So it was not necessarily the faith piece, though, that I wanted to talk about. It was the belief part. When we get locked into certain parts, to certain aspects of our life that cause us anxiety, that cause us to go down a pathway of darkness or loneliness, you know, maybe depression. When we get locked into these parts of our life, there's a belief problem. So the example that was given is the man shows up and he's like, my son is a lunatic. My son, he goes, he can't control himself. Maybe in this day, we would call this person, somebody who is manic depressant. He's got these highs, he's got these lows. At one point in time, he's crying. At another point in time, he's fighting. He throws himself into the water and into the fire. He has no care for his life. He's barreling out of control, and his emotions we cannot contain his emotions. And sometimes that's exactly what's going on. We get into this space where we cannot control our emotions. Our emotions are high. Our belief in God today is so high that nothing can stop us. Our joy is elevated. And then on the next day, we look at our life and we're like, everything is going wrong, and we plummet. And we're in the middle of our sorrow. We're in the middle of our depression. It's hard for us to lift our head up. It's hard for us to move forward because of this. And so we go through these roller coasters, highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. And we go to clinicians. And now this isn't to say that somebody may not have, depression or clinical depression or something like that. That's not for me to say. However, controlling our emotions is a very big thing. It's a very big thing, right? Because and this is coming from a guy who's like, hey, me, I've suffered from depression, I've suffered from anxiety, I've suffered from manic depression, I've suffered from these things, right? I've suffered from it. So it's not coming from a place, a shallow place of like I'm outside of the building looking in, casting stones. No, I'm coming from a place where that was the building that I lived in, right? And I had to come out of that building in order for me to become better, right? And so what was it? Well, and see, okay. So here, let me tell you a little story. There was one time when I was in the midst of this quote unquote building of depression, and I was barreling down, and I came to this person, and this person looked at me and they said to me, listen, son, if you simply believe, you don't have to be this way anymore. There's a little more context to this, right? But this is enough of that story. If you simply believe, you don't have to live the same way anymore. And believe in Jesus. That's what this lady said to me. You don't have to be this way anymore. And I was like, huh, okay. And I mean, this is like medication and everything. She was going to give me medication. She said, you don't have to believe. If you simply believe, you don't have to be this way anymore. You don't have to take any medication or anything. Now, I'm not consenting that you stop taking your medication because you believe. And I'm going to point that out. Why? I say that. And I said, well, listen, I believe. I decided right then, I believe, that was the last day that I ever took depression medication. Never took it again. That's probably about 3 decades ago. Never again. Right? And so there was a transformation inside of me. I wholeheartedly believe. So, okay, let's get back to the story because I want you to see how quickly things can just change for you by this one thing. It was not the faith first. It was the belief first. Okay? So the child is being thrown in and out, in and out, in and out. It's going up and down, up and down, up and down, right? And the father is stressed. The father has anxiety because there's nothing that he can say or do to change what is happening to his son. I'm hoping y'all are catching that. The emotion inside of his father is, I love my son and I cannot help him. So there's helplessness in the midst of the situation. The father has nobody that he can depend on, that he can trust in, that has the ability to cure his son. Now, the scriptures don't say he went to a clinician. It doesn't say he went to somebody to help him. But it does say he went to the followers of Christ, the disciples. And he asked that they assist him. When he did that, they were unable to. They couldn't do it. So this happens inside of our lives, that we seek assistance and the assistance is unable to assist. I hope y'all are hearing this. This was a very, very big thing for me. It was a very, very big thing for me. And I'm going to have to give you another scripture. I'm going to have to give you another one, because this story is also written not just in Matthew, but it's written in Mark. And in Mark is where the reference of what I'm about to say is. So, you know, the disciples asked the question, why? Now, Jesus gets there and Jesus, he's like, listen, you faithless generation, right? You faithless and perverse generation. How long will I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? 2 questions. How long will I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? And to be with somebody is to walk with them, is to agree with them. How long will I walk with somebody who's disagreeing with me? How long will I walk in this disagreement? So in other words, in the relationships of our life, how long shall we be in disagreement with our belief? How long will we walk in the disagreement of our belief? How long shall I be with you? How long will my belief, the belief in me, the one who is able to do all things, walk with you and you not believe? Right? How long shall I suffer you? How long to suffer is to take all, it's like to take penance, or is to bear the burden. How long shall my belief bear the burden of me? How long shall my belief walk with me and I not believe that it's my belief? This is key, because when Jesus says, bring him to me, he rebukes the devil out of him. He rebukes that manic depressant spirit out of him, and the child is cured. And the disciples get with him and they say, why could we not do this? And he says, because of your unbelief. First, because of your unbelief. First, that's the first thing that he says, because of your unbelief. So, what is belief? Belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. So belief, remember how I said, how long shall I be with you? In other words, how long will I walk with my belief? How long will my belief be with me? Now we say, there's a scripture in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ that strengtheneth me. Now we say, I can do all things through Christ that strengtheneth me, but now there's no but in that scripture. We add that. We add it when we feel it is most appropriate because we have unbelief. That's the reason why. Because in this moment, we don't believe. So then we cannot do all things through Christ because we don't believe. When that lady spoke to me and said, if you believe, I believe. My belief was an acceptance that the statement is true. She said, if I believe, I never have to take this medication again, and I'll be fine. I believed in over 3 decades. I've never had to take the I don't even remember what the medication was. I've been able to move through my life as if I never went through those chapters prior to that day ever again, because I believe the statement was true. All right. So there's a scripture in Hebrews chapter 11, right? Hebrews chapter 11, and it says, verse 6, it says, but without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is. So the first thing before you get to faith, faith can faith can remove mountains. So mountains that have been placed in your way, you made a wrong turn, and now you got a mountain in your way. You can remove it. You can move it again by faith. So why aren't they being moved? Because the thing that must come before faith is belief. And when we're stuck in unbelief, there's no faith. You can't have faith without belief. It comes first. So the reason why there was no cure from the disciples was because their belief was not there. They had been walking with their belief and did not believe. Their belief was carrying them, but they did not believe that they were being carried. Here's the scripture that I wanted to share with you. Same story in the book of Mark, right? In the book of Mark, the same story, but this is the part that I wanted you to hear. Mark chapter 9, verse 23. Jesus said unto him, he's talking to the Father, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Not to him who has faith, but to him that belief is the thing that precedes faith, right? And straightway the father of the child cried out, this is verse 24, and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. Okay, that just got really, really good, right? What on earth? I believe, help thou mine unbelief. So he's saying, I believe, but I got unbelief too. And my unbelief is taking place of my belief. I cannot get past my unbelief to believe my belief. I got both with me. I got my unbelief and I got my belief. They are both with me. And I cannot get beyond my unbelief to actually believe. And if I could just believe, then my faith, let me give you the definition of faith, right? So, faith. Faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Woo! Okay, so let's go back. Belief, an acceptance that a statement is true. Now, faith, complete trust or confidence in someone or something. There's a huge difference. Belief is acceptance, but faith is confidence. So belief is I accept that this is true. But when I graduate from my acceptance, it is no longer I accept that this is true. It is I know this is true. There is no other answer. There is no other way. There is no other belief. I am confident. Let me try to put this into perspective. You sit in a chair. Do you believe that the chair can hold your weight? Or do you have faith? Do you, so let me put it this way. Do you believe that the chair can hold your weight, or are you sure the chair can hold your weight? Because if you're sure, you sit down in a chair without thought that it may not hold your weight. If you believe, you try the chair, push down on it. Oh yeah, that feels sturdy enough. I think it can hold my weight. And you sit down. Yeah, I was right. That's the difference between belief and faith. Right there. It's a hairline, but it's big. It's the difference between finishing a race and standing at the finish line. It's a hairline, but it's a big difference. When you finish the race and cross over that line, you get the medal. When you stand at the line, your time continues to tick. I know we went over time. My apologies. So, help down mine unbelief. All right, so real quick. Belief is where most of us start. Everybody starts. I mean, you believe in something or you disbelieve in something, which is a belief that you don't believe in something, right? Unbelief is the belief that you don't believe in what you believe. So now, if you have belief and you elevate it to faith, you have confidence in what it is that you believe. If you don't have confidence in what it is that you believe, what is it? It's called doubt. Doubt is a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. That's what doubt is. Doubt is the opposite of faith. The opposite of faith is doubt. Belief is the middle ground. I believe. What do you believe? Well, I believe that what you're saying is true. How much do you believe? Do you believe so much that you're willing to lean on it? That you're willing to stand on it? That you're willing to swim in it? Are you convicted? Yes, that's faith. If you're not willing to stand on it, if you're not willing to lean on it, if you're not willing to swim in it, if you're not willing to trust in it, that's doubt. Where does my anxiety come from? My anxiety comes from the lack of trust. Now, this is not clinical anxiety or clinical depression or anything like that. But maybe, just maybe, clinical depression or clinical anxiety could be solved by this simple formula. Belief plus trust equals faith, which rids me of anxiety. In Mark and Matthew, there was one more little piece that came after that. And, that was that Jesus talked to them and he told them what it was that they needed to do. He said, howbeit, this cometh not but by fasting and prayer. So sometimes inside of our life, the only thing that is separating us from elevating our belief is actually concentration. If we want to elevate our belief to faith, it's concentration. We fast so that we can gain oneness. Now, there's many fasts nowadays. People fast for health. They fast for, religious purposes, many things. But the bottom line is that they fast because they want to focus. That's why they fast. If they're fasting for health, they want to focus on their health. They want improvement in their health. If they fast for religious reasons, they fast because they want to focus on their religious belief. They want to increase what is decreased. They fast to focus. We fast to focus. Prayer is to speak, is to communicate. It is to communicate what we focus on. So he gave them the remedy to the reason why their belief was unbelief, why they doubted. They doubted because they had not faith. So if you're out there and you're stuck in anxiety, you're stuck in depression, I tell you not that you should depart from your clinicians and your counselors. It's great. Go and speak with them. Please do. But also do this. Focus on what you desire to have. If you believe that you can live without anxiety, focus your intention on what it would feel like to no longer be anxious, to no longer be depressed, to no longer be angry or filled with wrath, to no longer be sad. Focus on what it may feel like to no longer be without provision. Focus on what it may feel like to no longer be lonely. Focus on what it may feel. Focus on what you desire to have, not what you desire not to have. Take your focus off of the negativity of all the things that you're thinking about inside of your emotional capacity. No longer look at it as if this is only thing that is for my life, is the bottom, is the worst. But now focus on my life is in the best. I am free. I am liberated. How do I know it? Because I have faith. I have faith that my mountain is being removed. I have faith that my situation is being removed. If it's not happening today, it is happening. It is moving. It is in my favor. Why? Because I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. How do I do it? I do it by my faith. Where does my faith come from? It comes from my belief. What is my belief? Well, I have found that it is impossible to please he whom I believe in without faith. Because when I first came to him, I had to believe in him. So if I place anything in my pathway, the only thing I need to do is just have faith that he will provide. And then I walk in that. I go to my job. I know I'm not getting paid enough, but I go to my job faithfully, knowing that he will provide. Sometimes doors open up to us. New work, more money. That's for another episode about the acceptance part of what he's sending. Anyway, I pray that this was good for you. I'm very grateful for you all. Please like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. All right, y'all take care. God bless.
Finding necessarily or this is what I find important for me.
So all of us have some kind of story of who we are. As much as it starts with you, remember it starts with me.